session today. So, thank you all for being here. This morning's meditation is going to be guided. I'm going to guide us, and it is going to focus on the shooting of that took place, the horrific event that took place in Texas earlier this week. And our meditation this morning, again, which I'll guide us through, will be based in compassion. So let's go ahead and settle into a comfortable meditation posture. Please take care to ensure that your spine is straight and relaxed. We're facing straight ahead with our head tilted slightly forward. When you're ready, please go ahead and softly close your eyes. And very gently bring your awareness to the exhalation of your breath. And please allow your exhalation to be just a bit longer and a bit more pronounced than your inhalation. Please feel free to experiment with pausing briefly at the bottom of each exhalation. Now is not the time to reflect on events that have occurred in the past. Those events cannot be changed, undone, or relived. Nor is this the time to speculate about events that may or may not occur in the future. The future is completely uncertain. Now is the time to be fully present here in this moment. Now is the time to give yourself permission to enjoy engaging in a practice that's going to bring you a peaceful state of mind and at the same time contribute to the creation of a peaceful world. As you know, there was a tragic shooting that occurred at a public school in Texas earlier this week. I'd like you to please now bring to mind someone who you know or know of who is suffering as a result of this tragic event. This person could be someone who is close to you. It could be someone you know of, such as a public figure who has spoken out with regard to the shooting. Or it could be someone imaginary, such as a parent of one of the children who died. It could be a collection of all of the parents of the children who died. Use your imagination in whatever way you choose, and please bring to mind now someone or a group of people who are suffering as a result of this event. And I'd like you now to imagine that this person or these people are seated in the space in front of you, facing you with their eyes at the level of your eyes. Compassion is a loving wish for another to be free from their suffering. Of all virtuous states of mind, compassion is supreme. So for our meditation this morning, I'd like you to please just settle into and rest in your heart of compassion. How wonderful it would be if this person or these people could be completely free from their suffering. More than anything else in the entire world, without expectation of an outcome, I wish for this now. Please know with absolute certainty that the fundamental essence of who you are is compassion. Please also know that your compassionate heart is not separate from the compassionate heart of every holy being from the past, present, and future. So please take this opportunity now to absorb more deeply into your heart of compassion. Please use this opportunity to absorb more courageously into your heart of compassion. How wonderful it would be if these people could be completely free of this grief and suffering. More than anything else in the entire world, again, without expectation of an outcome, I wish for this now. And, and as a result of your compassionate wish and your compassionate heart, there is a change in the appearance of the person in the space in front of you. It may be slight, it might be significant. There is a expression of hope, of hopefulness on their faces. There may be an expression of relief, perhaps slight, perhaps significant. There may be a sense of peace, perhaps slight, perhaps significant. You can know that your own relief and peace are not separate from the relief and peace of the people in the space in front of you. So for the last moment or two of this morning's meditation, I'd like you to please just rest and share in this relief and freedom, this relief and peace, the relief and peace with the person in the space in front of you. Now, very gently, very, very gently, please allow your consciousness to become less absorbed as you begin to arise from meditation. We dedicate all of the merit, all of the positive energy from this morning's meditation to world peace. May every single person who is suffering as a result of the tragedy in Texas earlier this week, may every single being without exception be completely free from their grief and their suffering. May they soon, swiftly come to develop a means for transforming the situation and bringing meaning to it, such that they can grow and be at permanent, complete peace. Completely fill up your belly and lungs with air, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. Thank you very much, and welcome back. So I think that we and most other people of this country, and probably many, many people throughout the world, are trying to make sense of what happened earlier this week and to somehow derive some sort of meaning from it, from what happened. Because indeed, on its face, it couldn't look more meaningless and more pointless. And I think this is a really important opportunity for us to courageously go forward and try to find meaning from this tragedy. And obviously, I believe that compassion is a way forward. Opening our heart of compassion and feeling it for ourselves and sharing it with others is an extremely powerful way to bring meaning to what happened. You know, a common question that comes up, kind of an age-old question actually, is how can I feel compassion, avail myself to compassion, and share in the sufferings with others without being drawn into it, into a place of despair, like so many others are? How can I be compassionate and not be drawn into the drowning in a sorrow of grief with others? It almost seems impossible. And an idea I'd like to share with you in that regard has to do with the path of the Bodhisattva. We haven't talked much about the Bodhisattva and in the mind of Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is a Tibetan word which translates to mind of enlightenment. Enlightened mind, literally, is what bodhicitta means. And a bodhisattva is one who is bound for enlightenment. It is through compassion that the bodhisattva follows and progresses on the path that she or he is on. They are completely and utterly compelled by compassion. the wish for others to be free from their suffering. That is what carries them on their path. And that is what enables them to wade into these waters of grief and suffering. Inconceivable amounts of grief for the loved ones of those who died in that tragedy. And with regard to this question, how can I go deeper into compassion without myself drowning or being completely overwhelmed by grief myself? It's a difficult one. And over my time of practice, the one analogy that really moves my heart, I'd like to share with you. And it is one of a parent who has a child who is having a nightmare, who is sleeping and is having a nightmare. The parent will wish for their child to awaken from that nightmare. More than anything else, wish for them to awaken from the nightmare that they're having. And they have the wisdom to not join into the nightmare with them, to not adopt the nightmare as their own. They have a wish for them to be free, and they don't join in the nightmare with them. That's kind of a middle way, at least it feels that way to me, kind of a middle way for us to have compassion and not be completely overwhelmed by the grief of the tragedy. So many people are suffering from this tragedy, obviously. I listened to a couple of brief YouTube pieces. One was of a professional basketball coach who his team is in the playoffs, and when he was doing his press conference, I think either before or after the game, he said, "We're not going to talk about basketball. We're going to talk about what happened in Texas." And he was on the verge of tears, very distraught about what happened, and spoke very passionately about what he felt needed to happen as a result of this event. And just last night, I saw a 7 or 8 minute video of Jimmy Kimmel, who has a late night talk show. I'm told I'm never up late enough to take in late night talk shows. And his message was very similar, very heartfelt. There were tears, and just appealing to elected officials and the masses to take action that he felt it would be most appropriate and most beneficial for bringing about some sort of resolution to this situation. And of course, there's everybody else. There are the parents and the other relatives, and so many people are suffering as a result of this event. Basically everyone. It's hard for me to think of someone who is not suffering as a result of this. And I think another way for us to bring meaning to this, for us individually, our lives and our practice, to bring meaning to us so that we can go forward with meaning and open-heartedness as we try to navigate these waters. Another way for us is to kind of become aware of, this sounds maybe counterintuitive, is for us to become aware of the pervasiveness of suffering. Some of you know that in a previous life, I was an environmental activist. And a conservationist, and I was all in. I was all in with my environmental work, and the path that I had chosen within the realm of environmental activism was one of politics. I felt like our environmental safeguards and protections were only as safe as the elected officials who were in office upholding the laws and regulations that were in place to protect our natural world. So I became really active politically, I won't bore you with the details, but I was really, really active at a local and state level. This was back in Montana. And at some point, I realized that the only thing that is going to turn around the destroying of our natural world is a change of heart, is people caring. And people caring can only come about through a change of heart. And I realized that, in addition, I realized that people can't be legislated into caring. They can't be regulated. They can't even be educated into caring. It needs to come from a place of heart. And so it was through that realization that I left my path of environmental activism and entered into the path that I'm on now, because this meditation, training the mind, cultivating compassion, is a way for me to deepen my caring. And when people sense that I care, then who knows, hopefully, that will be contagious and cause them to be more caring as well. And as it relates to the tragedy in Texas, a lot of people, Jimmy Kimmel, that sports coach, lots of other people I know, lots of people I'm sure also are calling for gun control legislation. Yeah. It's not a meaningless pursuit. It's not a meritless pursuit, I think. But I'm here to tell you that if magically and miraculously we were able to snap our fingers and what some would recall reasonable, prudent gun laws were in effect throughout the country, that wouldn't stop the violence. That wouldn't stop the hatred. A movement from hatred to love will only come about through a change of heart. Yeah. And so let that be our calling. I would submit that should be our calling as we try to engage in the path, to follow the path of the Bodhisattva, one who aspires to become a better person for the benefit of all beings. And the way to do that is for us to recognize that even if gun violence went away, there are still many, many other types of suffering. Everyone is suffering from innumerable sources of suffering. And how that can help us in our daily lives, day in, day out, is just to recognize that when we see people in our lives who are acting in ways that we wish they wouldn't act or we think they shouldn't act, is to recognize this person is suffering. This person is suffering, and I wish for them to be free from their suffering. Adopting that mind completely bypasses anger, completely bypasses apathy, completely bypasses anger, takes us to a place of compassion, which is at the very heart of the path of the Bodhisattva. So there are some ideas that I've had about ways that we can perhaps bring meaning to what happened earlier this week and go forward in a constructive way, in a loving and compassionate way, and to try and affect healing in our world and in our lives. That's all I've got, you guys. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank
That was
you, Jeff.
really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're most welcome.